Good evening, everybody. Today is Bhasha Dibosh, International Language Day. And we at Kahani Kancheti thought we will have a special adda today. Since it is Bhasha Dibosh today, we decided, and Bhasha, as it so happens, though it's in every Bhasha is Bhasha, every mother tongue is a mother tongue, but particularly Bhasha and Bangla, they sort of kind of go together. One reason is Bangladesh, because as we all know that Bangladesh is one country which has been formed purely on the basis of Bhasha, and that is language. And today is 21 February, which is the Bhasha Dibosh, and we thought that we will have a very special show today, and we have. What we have is a very interesting. It's just not a book, that it is that whole event, and I want to first to give you a little glimpse of that. This is the cover of a book called Birth of Bangladesh. Since it's a birth of Bangladesh, and today is Bhasha Dibosh, we couldn't think of a better way to actually connect. Now, what is this birth of Bangladesh? And the birth of Bangladesh is that on the 17th of December, 1971, that is 51 years ago, 4 students of IIM Kolkata, IIM Calcutta, it is still IIM C, so I will refer to IIM as Calcutta, which was then located in what is called Emerald Bowers, or where the Rabindra Bharati University is now located on BT Road. On the 17th morning, they decided that, all right, yesterday the surrender took place, so why don't we go across to Bangladesh and see for ourselves what life is like, a war-torn nation. And saying so, they actually collected, or they sort of had 50 rupees each, and they came outside the gate after breakfast, and they didn't even know exactly which way to go to reach the border. It started from there. And somebody said, Domdom dike jan, go towards Domdom. You'll get a train from there that takes you to Bangladesh. So the day after the liberation, they moved out, and then they spent 7 days in a new nation, which has just been absolutely hit by war and other atrocities that we all know of. They went right up to Dhaka, and then they came back. Most interesting part of the story was that there were 3 non-Bengalis, and there was only one Bengali gentleman, one of the students, their roommate, classmate, who actually did all the talking. They didn't know which way to go. They didn't know where they landed up. So what they had at the end of the 7 days was a dream adventure. It was absolutely a dream adventure, which I think many in our generation would love to give it a chance. We love to do it again. But they have done it. Now, of these 4, there are 2, Mr. Clement and P.K. Ganesh Iyer, unfortunately, are not, they have left. They are not with us. And sadly, Mr. Ganesh Iyer was also involved at the time when they were really planning the book, and he passed away when the book was being readied. So that was really very sad. But we have, and let me now bring them in one by one, the people who, the other 2 who actually did this adventure, and also the other collaborators. They are also listed in the book. Now, I know the word collaborator sounds a bit like one of those terrorist kind of a thing, but they were their friends and batchmates at IIM in Kolkata. And we also have 2 gentlemen from Dhaka. One is Mr. Mofidul Haq, and who is the founder of the Liberation War Museum in Dhaka. That is something that those who are going to Dhaka must visit. And Mr. Julian Francis, who was the special representative of Oxfam in Kolkata, now settled in Dhaka. So let me bring them in one by one. This is a 1971 IIM batch. So first, let me start with Mr. K. Pandayan. There you are. Now, Mr.
Hello.
Pandayan, and this is interesting. You will find it interesting. All of them, the 4 people who traveled, and many others who are here today, are all actually the famous batch of IIT and then IIM. So Mr. Pandayan, again, he is IIT Madras, where he did a very exciting thing. He actually created a two-seater hovercraft. Now, that was when he was in IIT, most exciting, a hovercraft, and which I think did take off or land. Something must have happened. Pandayan, you will tell us about it. And then, having passed out from IIM, he became a planter. So I presume he was in the tea gardens. Then he moved to the auto industry in Pune, and then on to publishing. He used to edit the Bombay Management Association's magazine, and then he moved to IT, by which time he had come over to Mumbai. And by the way, he is the man who started which many of us recall was Computer Point, India's first computer retail chain, Computer Point. And by the way, he also got into this software business, and Sonata is a software for publishing, which was which is something he worked on. And by the way, it's not ending, I know, Pandayan, but that's exactly what you are. He's a founder secretary of NASCOM and is one of the pioneers of internet in India. So there he is, and he is one of those four who actually traveled to Bangladesh right up to Dhaka. The second gentleman I have here is Mr. Shyamal Chakravarty. He again is IIT Bombay. Pandayan was IIT Madras, and there Shyamal is living out. He has been in, well, this is what it says. He has been in construction projects, oil, lubricant, chemical, manufacturing, container, tea, traveled over 60 countries. And when I was putting this down, it struck me, and I asked him, Ki, Acha Shyamal Babu, were you ever in Bamal Lorry? Because the only company where all this fits in is IBP Bamal Lorry, from oil to container to travel. And he said, yes, very politely, he said, yeah, I ended up as the chairman. I said, oh, there you are. So that's Shyamal. He, by the way, is the only Bengali in the team who did all the talking. Pandayan and the late Mr. Clement and Mr. P.K. Ganesh Iyer were obviously not Bengali. So he was their lifeline, so to say. Now, the third gentleman we have here is, now come the collaborators. Here is Jayanta Chakravarty. Jayanta Chakravarty again is from IIM Kolkata. He had done Sengupta. Shyamal Chakravarty Jayanta. He had done Xavier's and then IIM. And then 25, 30 years in advertising. That's where we had once caught up. He was in Rediff, and from Rediff, he was in Ulka. Am I right, Jayanta? You were in Ulka, Rediff, and then contract in Kolkata, and then I think back in Rediff. And currently, he has also written a book called Wraparound, Delivering a Great Brand Experience, which is all about brands. And incidentally, this is for those Jara Bangla ekhane eschen. He has translated Vibhuti Bhushan's Chader Pahad. Now, that is something which is doing Chader Pahad is not a joke. And also Mohanlal Gangopadhyay's Charunik. So he writes, and he now teaches in a number of places. Then I have with me Mr. TSR Shankarnarayan. Right, there you are.
Hello, good evening.
Shankarnarayan, TRS, there you are. And he has, of course, been into the academic world. He has been into the academic world. He has, he's in fact right now here from the US. Again, he's an IIT Madras. So we have IIT Madras, IIT Mumbai, and he has been an academic. He was there with the Sona School of Management at Salem, and then with IBS in Chennai and Hyderabad. He has been teaching, forming courses, holding seminars, and has been a visiting professor since 2013. He got into this IT thing in 1973 and had worked with Western Cromptons and HCL and NIIT. So that's him. And now we have our fifth gentleman from Kolkata, Devashish Gupta. He is again an IIT KGP. So we have an IIT KGP. We have, where did Shyamal drop off? Has he dropped off somewhere?
Shyamal is.
Yeah, you might have had a link problem.
Okay, may have had a link problem. But meanwhile, to introduce Devashish. Devashish is again IIT. This time he is IIT KGP. I'm sure those of us who are into the thing will know what KGP means, because that's what Kharagpur is referred to. And he has been right now a mentor at IIM Kolkata, on that IIM Kolkata Innovation Park. He advises startups, and he has also been into merchant banking with Greenlace. And he was then into the consultancy firm which he started with friends, I think called Mesa, and he's into IT training. So we have all of us over here, except that I think Shyamal has just kind of dropped out. Meanwhile, I quickly would like to bring in Shyamal. He has come back to the stream. There you are. So I will bring in Mr. Mofidul Haq is in the wings. I will bring him in at an appropriate time. But first, let me get on with this discussion. I want you all to actually go back to Ramanujam Hall or Tagore Hall at IIM at Emerald Power. Just go back and start off from there as to how on earth, on the day of the surrender, where the whole country was in total excitement, and there is General Niazi and there is Jagjit Arora, and we don't have television. So we are all listening to All India Radio, and listening to BBC and all that is happening, which you all must have also done. And then suddenly at some point of time, we all say, bang, let's go to Bangladesh. And number one, I have only two questions. The rest you all will discuss and Maro Adda. The other thing is that what made you all get onto this book after 50 years? So Shyamal, can I start with you, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like this, that just before that, when this war was happening, we were all busy with our exams. The term examinations were there. So apart from the tension of the war, we were also suffering from the tension of the exams. So, and in nick of the time, the exams got over. So naturally, it was a release of energy. So that's what. So it's the combination of the environment as well as internal this thing that we wanted to really enjoy the tension-free period. So we thought that we must do something about it. And we to start with, it was just an idea. Ki kora jabe, jawa jabe ki na, ki hobe. And কিছু বন্ধুরা বলল যে হ্যাঁ চলে যাওয়া যাক, কিছু বন্ধুরা বললো আরে গেলে পাসপোর্ট আছে নাকি, এই অবস্থাতে কে পাসপোর্ট, কোথায় কি হতে পারে, এসব পাসপোর্টের দরকার নেই, আমরা দেখে আসবো. And we kept a very the objective was very clear that somehow we must get into that country and see for ourselves what it is. We have been hearing in paper. Is it really so, or what is the situation? So even if we did think of Dhaka right from the beginning, thought we'll just go and see. So it is the success that we achieved in penetrating so easily, which made us feel that we must go over. So, and Pandayan will add to that. Pandayan, take over.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go back a few months further. When we joined the institute, most of us are from outside Calcutta, and settling down in Calcutta, in 71 was a time, and there were a lot of other things happening in Calcutta. And suddenly we realized, in the excitement of being in an institute, joining a management school, we realized that we are in an environment where there is war and, there's a lot of things happening. And along the way, a lot of the students in the hostel got interested. They used to be a board kept in the corridor. Whenever I used to take a coffee break, people assemble there and see what is happening, latest position. It's like now we watch cricket score. The monitoring was being done on the board. Almost all news was either newspaper or radio, and that's how we got in tune with what is happening near Calcutta. The border is very close. I still remember one of the very interesting thing that happened was an air fight between Indian Air Force and Pakistani Air Force, planes in the sky, chasing each other and things like that. It's a very interesting sight. I still remember. And that comes relevant later when we were in Dhaka a few days later. We actually saw the plane that was being prepared for, after repairing. Now, interestingly, I was in Ramanujam Hall and Shyamal was in Tagore Hall. And how did we get together? We were sitting there on 16th of December, actually sitting in the common room, just relaxing. Like Shyamal said, it was already vacation, the exams are over. And the news suddenly came on the radio saying surrenders happened. I think the surrender was around 4:30 in the evening, and we heard the news around 6:30ish, in that time frame. And we just turned around, looked at each other, a few of us. I think Clement was sitting there in the class, and we said, shall we go? So actually many others said, maybe we should go. The conversation was a very light-hearted, casual kind of a thing, saying let's go. And somehow it clicked for us, Clement and me. And then we went across to Tagore Hall and met Shyamal and Ganesh. So four of us chatting there, saying, we should go. And we were talking about, like you mentioned, passport, this, that, so many things we talked about. And we were still saying, yes, we will go. Tomorrow morning, let's have breakfast and leave. And that's all. That was all the preparation that we had. And it was in a way a collaboration between Ramanujam Hall and Tagore Hall. And we landed up in Dum Dum. From there, we boarded a bus. We landed in Bongao, which is a border town where the railway track crosses into Bangladesh. And there's a refugee train waiting there. And it was... This is something that happened to us right through the entire journey of 7 days. At every stage, we didn't know what is going to happen to us ahead. We'll say, let's just see how this is going to happen. And we went to people are waiting there in the station, and they said there's a train coming, and that was the first train going across the border into Bangladesh, an Indian railway train with a cloth banner showing Bangladesh train. Maybe Shyamal, you continue. Otherwise, I'll end up keep talking. Let's.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah, it's true that initially it was jam-packed train carrying the first set of refugees who were so eager to get back. So it was all jam-packed. It was absolutely packed like sardines, as we say. So we tried to get in, and we obviously they threw us out. They said, no, you're not one of us. So ultimately when we boarded one compartment where somehow some people tolerated us, and they even gave us some space to sit. But when the Indian military people had come,
we were sitting on the top, and where the luggage.
Yeah, sitting on the top. Luggage bunk. Because we got in there, and it was all. And when the Indian military people had come, these people complained that they are not refugees; they are getting in. So they inquired us. We said, look, we are basically students. We are from management. We would like to see for ourselves, and we will report what wonderful job you have done. We want to see that. He says, if that is the case, we'll carry you on our shoulders. Don't worry. So that's how their response was. So as Pandayan is really saying that at everywhere there was we were about to give up or something, some help or something came up, and we were able to get over it. And,
yes. And this is something I must tell the viewers that, all of you all should actually read the book. This is in form of a diary, day by day. And at the twists and turns are almost after every 3 paragraphs, because they don't know where they are going. They don't know which mode of vehicle, and they had no idea about the topography of Bangladesh, right? They must have had some sketch or something like that. They didn't seem to know where does the river boat take you. But let me come to the collaborators. We have 3 of them over here, and then I'll bring in Mofidul Shahib. And the question here is that, did you all discourage them to go? Devashish, TRS, and Jayanta, did you all say that, Nana, do not go. Are you mad? You're Dhaka, Bangladesh. You might. Did you all stop them, or did you all say no, come and I will back it up? Was it a kind of a what was the Jayanta, tell us? Yeah.
If I may start, actually, I didn't have a clue. I don't know about the others. I absolutely had no clue whatsoever. So you must remember that at that time I was a 19-year-old tyke going on, maybe become 20 at some point in time. But at that time, becoming 20 was pretty far off in the future. And the only thing I remember, which was very very vivid as a memory, was that night there was a fire, there was a bonfire and a party, and some illicit stuff that you get in bottles was acquired, and people got pretty interesting after consumption of such of said illicit stuff. So that I remember. I remember with a great deal of joy and a great deal of. That's about the only.
No, but let me so let me say that no such influence was on us, huh?
Yes, four of us did join very clearly. We knew the bonfire was on, but we didn't join that.
Now, TRS, tell us, TRS, what do
Yeah.
you think? Did you
Yeah.
sort of stop them?
In fact, as Jayanto says, no, I also had no clue. But I remember Pandayan telling that his roommate Ravi Garg, he said, "You guys must be mad," and that kind of initial reaction. But in spite of some of the, let us say, negative or discouraging comments, the best part is that all the four decided to go ahead, even though they did not have any detailed plan. And that is the beauty of the entire adventure. And of course, they had what you call a lot of problems, as well as considerable amount of what you call unanticipated support from let us say RB people or even the local villagers, Mukti Bahini, and there's a whole lot of groups, and they have been singularly fortunate also to get the kind of right support at the right time, at the right place.
Exactly. Devashish, tell us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I
also
had
say
no
that why
idea that
didn't
they
you
were
go?
there.
Oh, great fun, great fun.
I had no
Yeah.
idea that they were going. And
Yeah,
if I did go,
I'm interrupting. I must say, none of the three collaborators in the book was present in the common room when we discussed on 16th of December. We were sitting there, and these guys were not the ones who spent time playing table tennis or chess or anything that we were doing at that time. And if they had been there, maybe one of them, any of them, might have joined us also. It's just that it was a absolutely four of us random. We just said we were there at the right time, listening to the news saying that Bangladesh got liberated, 93,000 soldiers surrendered, etc., etc. It was such an exciting kind of a news. He said, "Let's go." So these guys were not there. That's why they came to know only after we returned.
Pandayan, somebody
Okay.
had to
What I
organize
will
a
do now.
bonfire and the bottles,
Oh yes,
right?
that also. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree. I agree.
that yes.
somebody had to consume them
Would you all
also.
love to?
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
But tell me something
Before
before I bring in Mofidul Chab, and I will now exit from the screen because I think I should not be. I'm doing nothing
I think
much
you
in
should
this
be
Adda.
there. Maybe one of us can be down.
One of
We
us can
come back.
exit.
Yeah, one
Okay,
of us
fine.
can
We
be
will
out.
play. We'll play
One of
by
us
the year.
exit.
But the only thing is,
Sujit,
what I wanted to,
Sujit,
yeah.
you might want to make an announcement from Julian. He regrets that
Hmm.
he, for some reason, there's
Yes.
complete. He just can't log in.
Yeah, I know
He
he's
can't.
having some problem. I will announce it when Mofidul Shah comes in.
For
And
sure.
but question here is that, given a chance, would you do it again?
Very much. Absolutely.
I would do it.
Ah, that's it.
Absolutely.
We
Lovely.
enjoyed it.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It
That's it.
was fun.
Uh,
Yeah.
Okay,
It
no,
was
no
a
wonder this
combination.
side.
People have asked, why did he do it? Was it an adventure? Looking back, we can't call it an adventure. It was an experience of such a mixed range of things. It's a once in a lifetime thing that happened to us, and we'll
Sure.
do it again. Absolutely no question. Yes.
Oh, lovely. That's the spirit. Now, so I will, for a minute, get joined on the backstage, and instead I will bring in Mufidul Shahab, who has come from Dhaka. Mufidul Shahab,
Yes.
নমস্কার। আমি সুজিত, আর এদের তো আপনি চেনেন, পান্ডিয়ান, শঙ্কর নারায়ণ, শ্যামল বাবু, আর দেবাশিস, আর জয়ন্তকে একটু বাইরে রেখেছি, ও আবার আসবে। But for my viewers, let me introduce Mofidul Shahab to you all. Mofidul Haq Shahab is the founder of the Liberation War Museum in Dhaka. And next time any of us are going to Dhaka, we must visit the museum, because that's where it's everything is over there. And he has really helped these IIMs to get this process and the book out. We had another guest. Unfortunately, he is having some technical problem in coming in. He's Mr. Julian. And Julian's problem is that he is unable to connect to this link on StreamYard. So he was with Oxfam in Kolkata when all this was happening, and now has settled. Mr. Julian Francis. Sorry, Julian, we're missing you over here. Would have loved to have you another day, maybe. Now, we can talk about the War Museum in Dhaka, and what kind of help did you all get once you all reached in Bangladesh?
Firstly, today is a very auspicious day, 21st February, very close to our heart, but it is also got a recognition as International Mother Language Day, and it is a day for every language, large or small, and especially the language in danger of extinct. So on this day, we are discussing about Birth of Bangladesh, a book which has a very, very interesting experience, I would say, a very fascinating journey made by four young men, 19-20 years, and they jumped into the newly liberated country and got the taste of freedom, how a nation actually embraced their freedom, paying such a high price. And we got connected with the whole episode that now that four of you are trying to recreate the memory, and Jayanta Sengupta, he get in touch with us, and we try to assist you in whatever way we can in retrieving the memory or getting you connected with right kind of people or documents or photographs, whatever you needed. Maybe not all can be used in the book because of copyright and other reasons, but I am sure that this has helped in rekindling the memory. And also, we got you in touch with Julian Francis,
Yes.
a great person. I think you will be connected with him one day. And we call him, and many of us, I think, in Bangladesh know him very well and call him Julian Bhai. He became actually not only he was a friend in the time of distress, he worked very hard in the refugee camps at that time, heading the Oxford mission in this part of India, and also has a fascinating experience, both, I mean, inspiring and also very painful. And ever since he is on off with Bangladesh, now he is permanently settled in Bangladesh. He has been honored as Friends of the Liberation War, and he has been given the citizenship of Bangladesh. I think this is one way we, the nation, also try to pay their tribute to many, many people who has contributed, and India has a very special place. And for our museum, it's a private museum. And you all know about the birth of Bangladesh, but we also have a very checkered political development ever since in 1975, especially with the brutal killing of father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, along with his family members. It was one of the most brutal political assassination. It was not assassination as such, it was more tragic than that. And that shows that in spite of our victory, there were forces of evil who actually tried to unsettle the country. And we went through this experience. Then again, I would say the spirit of our liberation war has inspired the new generation and also the freedom fighters and those who have went through this crisis, and the victim's family, martyrs' family, all those actually helped us to uh, then reverse the process. And Liberation War Museum was established at a very dark time when there was denial of history, distortion of history. We started it as in a very small way as a private museum. We are 8 founder trustee, like you, the friends in IIM. We were also friends in our struggle, and then when went through this difficult period, we thought, let us do something. Uh, then we decided that there was no effort has been taken for memorialization. The government is not interested in memorialization, and even if they take up the task, it will be not the true history that will be reflected. And we also know that 8 trustees cannot establish a museum unless there is strong support from the community, because we need lot of artifacts, documents, memorabilia, personal things, which anything which they will give to the museum, they are preserving it for the last 25 years. And museum is only a promise at that time. But we were overwhelmed by the support, and we say that this is a private initiative, but it becomes a people's institution. And that's the greatest strength of the museum. We have a very rich archive with contribution from so many people, and we also get connected with so many events and so many personalities. And that is, I think, make the museum a very living institution. And when we came to know about your dream and your participation, and then how you got together and tried to write a book, a collective book on your experience of your journey into Bangladesh, it is really, really something we found that it is unparalleled in a sense that you were very young and you do not have a clear idea about what lies ahead, but you decided that you will jump into it. I think that was also our freedom struggle also. We jumped into it. We have to jump. We have to take up that challenge. And also it shows that the emergence of Bangladesh, the victory of Bangladesh has touched the heart of many people. And that, I think, is the strength of humanity. So we found that it is really going to be a very, very fascinating book. We contributed whatever way we can, and we look forward to read the book and also to meet you in person. Maybe
Yes, very much.
someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pay tribute to Ganesh Ayar, who is no longer with you, but we also remember with him with respect. And we one day, when the travel is not very difficult, and now you can take a train from Calcutta to Dhaka, so
Dhaka.
the line is open.
Open.
The and and you can be in Dhaka and visit the museum and also the places. It has
Yes.
changed a lot, but there are many memories which you have. So we are really we congratulate you that you all
Th-
settled in
Thank you.
life,
Thank you so much.
many different
Actually,
places, but you
Dr.
got
Gul,
together. Yeah.
I must interrupt you here to specifically thank you for the support you have given us in the initial stages. Especially, we were at a loss in trying to see, pictures of various things that happened in Bangladesh in '71 were not easily available. 50 years later, we hadn't kept track of anything, and we reached out to you, and you have been interacting with us, and in your website, the information that is available is so elaborate, and it was so helpful to us in planning the book, and in our construction of the book also, in terms of the specific thing that we were able to capture. And you have been very supportive of us. I must thank you specifically on behalf of all 5 of us. You've just done a great job being supportive of us, and we hope to reach out to you. And while I'm saying this, I must also tell you another very interesting coincidence that happened. uh, Colonel Viswanathan would
Ah,
remember,
yes,
16th
yeah,
of
yeah,
December
yeah,
2021,
yeah.
a group of people, war veterans from India, traveled to Bangladesh. They were hosted by Bangladesh government, and he remembers sitting next to you over a dinner get together in one of the sessions and having a long chat with you, and also that he told me that he had carried a news clipping from 71 which he had preserved and he wanted to give it to you. And I guess you've been collecting material like this all these years, and it is still happening. And he was very thrilled that he was able to visit the War Museum and see the way that you have built the museum into a major thing. Just wanted to share that with you. Colonel Viswanathan was very appreciative of the kind of the way people treated him when he was there.
Where did you meet him?
We actually had a conversation with him. Shankar actually connected with another colleague who also traveled with Shankar. Maybe you should talk about it.
Yeah, actually,
Colonel,
there was one Colonel Krishnaswamy who has been involved in the war at the same time at the same place. And apparently, it seemed that Colonel Viswanathan and Colonel Krishnaswamy, they are cousins, and they also hail from the same native place where I belong to. So, and Pandayan and myself, now we had a Zoom discussion with him. He actually, Colonel Viswanathan right now is in Bangalore. Colonel Krishnaswamy, he is in Chennai. And we have been interacting with both of them. In fact, there was another Brigadier Swaminathan, who is based in Coimbatore, and he too has been involved in the same war. But we are in touch with him, and then we will be able to interact with them also more. That is it.
The interesting thing is that both the colonels traveled to Bangladesh on 16th of December 21, last December, participated in the war veteran program, on the 16th December celebrations in Bangladesh.
Yeah, and he gave us a very beautiful gift of morning newspaper published on the day Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman returned. It was printed all in red, and it's a very, very precious collection we got from him. And we are in touch with him. So there are a lot of human stories actually involved with the war veterans, with the common people, and you are part of it. So we highly cherish this memory and congratulate you for your memorialization, which is very much helpful for our museum also. So carry on your chatting. I am listening.
থ্যাংক ইউ মফিদুল সাহেব, আপনি এসছেন আমাদের কাছে। তবে আপনাকে একটা কথা বলি, এরা তো বলছে এরা চান্স পেলে আরেকবার যাবে ওই অ্যাডভেঞ্চার করতে। এক্ষুনি বলছিল যে আরেকবার চলে যাবে। হ্যাঁ, ওই কোলাবোরেটররাও যাবে। এবার তো জেনে গেছি কি করতে হবে। আর আপনি তো বললেন কলকাতা থেকে
Yes.
No, that chapter is over. But memories are there.
আর মফিদুল সাহেব, আমরা ঢাকায় গেলে আপনার মিউজিয়ামে নিশ্চয়ই যাব। আর মিউজিয়ামকে নিয়ে আমাদের এই যে কাহানি কঞ্চেতি যে এটা আছে, এটা নিয়ে একটা কোনোদিন সুযোগ এলে একটা প্রোগ্রাম করব এই ওয়ার মিউজিয়ামের উপরে। এটা তো আমাদেরই, ভাষা তো একই, তাই না? হ্যাঁ, আপনি এসছেন, অনেক ধন্যবাদ আপনাকে। আবার আপনার সঙ্গে কোনো না কোথাও আমাদের সঙ্গে যোগাযোগ হয়ে যাবে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ so much. Okay, so very kind of him to have come all the way actually from
very much.
Well, we say like TRS is here all the way from US. Where are you coming? Where are you here from in US? Which part?
I am right now in Dallas at my son's place.
Okay, so there he is in Dallas, and but now let me get back to the travel. And the travel is that the two things I want to know. One is that I'm very fascinated by the boat ride. Almost, looking at it as some kind of a recreation of Padma Nodi Maji. How did you all land up there after walking for kilometers and miles, whatever? And the sustenance being, as you all have very correctly said, deem, which was basically deem boiled eggs. Eggs, yes. While TRS and Devashish and Jayanta were having better breakfast in the campus, you all were surviving on chire gur. That's what you mentioned, jaggery with thatched rice and your deem. And Indian currency, 50 rupees is all of you all carried. So total 200 rupees budget. You brought back money. But one question I wanted to ask, you all said that you all had packed up, in your bag. Now in 71, this backpack culture was not there.
Not that.
You know, like now everything is like a backpack. In 71, backpack was not there. So what were these bags in which you carried maybe the toothbrush?
Little small bags, shoulder bags. And
Right.
Clement was the one who carried a cloth shoulder bag, the
Jhola,
journalist.
Jhola, Jhola.
Jhola. Yes.
Jhola.
Absolutely.
Big one, we were pulling his leg, is that enough? He said, no problem. I'm okay with that.
Well, the kind of what Clement did later on in life for the Chhattisgarh, he must have been a real jholawala. Working with
No,
his
he
vision.
was always.
Always, sir.
He was a
And-
jholawala.
and that-
Perfect. All right. Okay.
And that was one of
but
the
now let me
reasons
come to
why.
that, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was
Shyamal,
one of
go,
the
go.
reasons. His Jola is what led the police to suspect him. On the return, carrying that Jola.
Back
And
on
he
the
was
way back.
collecting all the magazines and newspapers. Excellent. Poor fellow. He had to leave them behind. Or you all made him leave them behind. But let me tell you
No.
this. Tell us about this boat ride.
Okay.
And
Actually, when we reached Faridpur by the second day evening, we had walked, we had taken a ride with a Indian Army major. And on the way, we had, like I mentioned, Deem a couple of times. And in a couple of villages, we were given coconut water with, that balai inside and things like that. That's all the food that we had. And when we reached Faridpur, we still didn't have a clear idea of how we are going to reach Dhaka. We were by then clear, we have come this far, we are going to definitely go to Dhaka. And
No, we had no idea how far Dhaka is.
Yes, we didn't even know how far it was.
We thought it is another 2 hours away.
Actually, so another army persons that we met who actually stopped us from going into Faridpur cantonment. He said it's not allowed right now, only Indian Army is allowed. He spent a lot of time with us telling us a lot of things that he had experienced. Then he said, why don't you go to the boat jetty? There might be boats going from there. We said, okay, let's go and try. So that is another walk, maybe about 5-6 kilometers walk. We went to the boat jetty and there was actually a boat waiting there. We were just ready to leave. A fisherman boat who was carrying some people all the way to Dhaka on Paddu River. And this is in the evening, dusk was already settling in, and we just made it. He said, okay, you guys come. 4 of us reached there and said, is it going to Dhaka? It's like, going and asking in the bus stand, is this bus going to Dhaka? And we were so lucky, the boat was there. And we got onto the boat, and then we realized we were still very hungry. And there was a small marketplace we could see. So 2 of us got down, and from the boat we went there looking for something to eat, and nothing was there. Obviously, just 2 days after the war, and some maybe raw rice and some fish.
Muri was there.
And that was, Moody was there. So this place, one guy was selling in a basket these, balls of this sweet, what do you call, chiregut. And we said, okay, let's take the entire basket. 4 of us are hungry. And we actually tried to negotiate with him whether he will give us the basket. Because we wanted, how do we carry the stuff to the boat? And he said, no, I don't want your business. I'm not giving you the basket. So we said, okay, we opened our shirts, made them into bags, put all the stuff there, and we walked across the boat. And within 2 minutes after we reached, all the 4 of us finished the entire lot. And we were so hungry, and it's such light stuff. So we settled down saying it's going to take 2 hours, because Shyamal had actually checked with the boatman, and he had said something like 7 something, whatever he said, he
7:30 or so, yeah.
Understood that to be a couple of hours later.
Evening.
Because we were in the boat around 5:30ish, So we settled down on the top deck. We actually dozed off, and we woke up and found there was nobody else on the deck. And the boat was right in the middle of the river, and it was chill. And we said, what's going on? So we got down, came down to the lower deck, and we found people are nicely tucked up, lying down, sleeping. And lost, is trying to figure out what is going on. We are supposed to have already reached, maybe we are nearing Dhaka and these guys are out sleeping. So we asked one boat, one of the guys who was operating the boat, he said, reaching tomorrow morning. So we just discovered tomorrow morning. So then, we were actually obviously, telling Shyamal, what is this, Shyamal? This is the Bengali, things like that. But anyway, so then Shyamal, got in.
Yeah, but you all also had Maj Bhat. You all had the
Oh,
Ilish
yes.
Maj Bhat on that boat.
I'm coming to that.
And
Actually,
let me
then,
ask you this,
Yeah.
with Clement and Ganesh and you, Pandayan, and Shyamal, of course. I guess you all were not the non-vegetarian types.
Actually, it's like this, Shyamal being a Bengali, I'm sure, he's a fish eater and all that. And Clement is a regular non-vegetarian food eater. Ganesh and I, we are all people who have stayed in the hostel. So we have tasted some non-vegetarian food in that sense. It's like something we taste in small pieces. You don't really try to see what it was, because we're all converting from being pure vegetarian at home to eating whatever meat is offered. We didn't even know how to differentiate between chicken and mutton initially. That's the background. It's not that we were completely not eating the non-vegetarian food, but what we had on the boat was something completely different. I don't know, Shyamal, you should talk about it. Ilish.
It was two kinds of things were there. One bit of prawns, small prawns, and Ilish. So the prawns also without taking the shell, away, cooked like that.
And
And
what I remember is Ilish coming with ice, looking.
But what was important is that the boatman, he was, Kotta, Chakravarty, he understood Chakravarty mane the Brahmin. Like Kotta, apni ki khabe na আমাদের হাতে? That's how আপনারা কি খাইবেন আমাদের হাতে? আমরা আরে ওসব দিন চলে গেছে, আমরা ওসব দিনের লোক না, আমরা সব খাই. That's how initially he was refused. He was not wanting to give, because he thought that he will be doing a crime by doing that. He will be taking away our this thing. So, but he was very gladly he gave us, and well, I somehow could eat it, but I don't know, Pandayan.
We did. We were so hungry. There was no choice. We had to find out. We were learning how to skin the fish. They just boiled.
No, it was lovely. At that point of time, we found it's one is that we have to keep awake the entire night, and next day we don't know what is going to be there.
Okay.
So that is also there.
Before I ask you that what took you all 50 years to publish this book, I want to also before that I want to ask you this, that so far is all the adventures of traveling in that train you all talked about, sitting on the top berth, and your collaborators had no idea that you all had already pushed off to Bangladesh and whatever you all were doing. But the thing was that you all also came across a lot of signs of the ravages of war, the atrocities that the Pakistan army had committed.
Yes.
You all were also being suspected by them in certain pockets. And ultimately, it was the Indian army who sort of kind of bailed you all out and, gave you all some protection of sorts.
Because both Mukti Bahini people
and Mukti Bahini
Indian
people,
army,
yes.
they helped us in a regular way. But against the kind of thing that you are talking, that protection came from the Mukti Bahini people. We were fortunate that they took.
Once we
Indian
reached Dhaka,
army was basically.
Once we reached Dhaka, we were again, entering Dhaka, not knowing where we are going, and we walk into a stadium, we find a regiment of Indian soldiers, and they are all getting ready, and that is interesting, and that turned out to be a regiment from South India. So suddenly the language of communication became from Bengali to Tamil. And all three of us could speak. And now it was Shyamal's turn to, wait for our translation. And they were very friendly. And they took care of us. They gave us breakfast. And we were marched up to the colonel who was in charge of the entire troop. And he, looked us up and down and he said, "What are you guys doing here? This is not the place you should be," and all that. He pulled us up. Then he said, "Okay, now that you're here, you can travel along with the soldiers and go to see places in Dhaka." Suddenly another thing opened up for us, and we were being driven around Dhaka by the Indian army to places where we would have not even known how to reach first, and we may not even got admission into, easily. Two major things, I talk about. One is the airport, where the Indian Air Force had done a fantastic job of bombing the runway with craters that was at regular intervals. It's like, they measured with tape and bombed the thing. And there's a picture in the book also of the crater, one of the craters. And in the airport, they were repairing the saber jets, which were sabotaged by the Mukti Bahini when the Indian Air Force was fighting with them. And then we were, one of the things that happened to us, one of the saber jet aircraft was repaired and ready. They were supposed to do a test run, taxiing test or something. It was there. Nobody was there. Obviously, they didn't expect any civilians like us coming there. And we were walking around, and I got into the aircraft and sat down in the cockpit. And suddenly there was pandemonium. All the, Bangladesh officers, they all came charging. You can't get onto the aircraft. If you touch something and you caused a problem there, it would have been a serious problem. We had just repaired the plane. So things like that experience, all still adventure. And then the army went to Mujibur Rahman's house. And we went there with them. And the soldiers were going around the bungalow and around outside. We were just, say, it's like one more building that we are there. And suddenly we were asked to come inside the building. We went inside, and two young people like us, we were probably in our age bracket, and they said, we are curious who are these Indian boys who have come into Bangladesh. And we had a conversation with them. And we don't unfortunately remember who they were. They were part of Mujibur Rahman family members. One boy and a girl we remember very clearly. And they asked us a lot of questions, why we came, what was the thing. Then they said, it's very nice of you to come and things like that. It's an experience you'll always remember. And then they said, where are you staying? We said, we haven't thought it out. We haven't figured out yet. They said, we are asking the Mukti Bahini people to take care of you. And then after some wait, the two Mukti Bahini people are asked to, take us around. They took us to Dhaka Engineering College hostel, which was a major center of action at the time before the war, where the academia, the professors were taken out and they were shot by the Pakistani army. The students had, done a lot of protest activities. Many of them are actually shot at and things like that. And the hostel was empty, absolutely. And they gave us 2 rooms and beds and things like that to sleep in. We spent 2 nights there. And that was, again, like, out of the blue. We were not planning for how we are going to stay in a city like Dhaka. And till then, it was absolutely taken care of at every stage for us. And Mukti Bahini people took us around to other places, like the ground where the surrender took place, and a few other places. And they also took us to the shop where Clement was collecting newspapers, old newspapers, and even bought a book, Das Kapital.
Das Capital.
Which you found a old copy and you found marks. So which came in at a later stage when you're entering India. That's later. So this is how we spend the day, 2 days in Dhaka, going to various places. And then they gave us a
most exciting
different route to come back by. And that's where we saw some really horrible thing that people have done.
Right, right. But tell me something. One day you all come back in the evening, right? As you all have narrated. And then I'm doing a round robin with TRS, Devashish and Jayanta. And, you all, bingo, you all are back from Dhaka, And TRS, what was your first reaction at that point of time? I mean, and when they came and announced that there was no mobile, so they couldn't have told you, ki, Achar, we are now in Faridpur or wherever. So it's just like one day saying, hello, oh, you all have come back from Dhaka. How was that experience?
In
When did you round up?
my case, I was not in the hostel at that time. And I think
We came to know much later, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, my visit to the border was sometime in February 1972. And I think also you are talking about bonfire and all, no?
No, bonfire was before.
Mhm.
It was on the
Bonfire was that.
on 16th of December.
Yes.
You see, once they came back, it was so matter of fact. Oh, you've been to Dhaka and you've come back. Nobody realized the adventure that they'd had.
It was actually a very
It's
casual
mental
kind of, accepting. Oh, you guys went to Dhaka? Okay, good.
No,
What
no.
did you do?
I remember
Oh,
they asked. So I think Natarajan had asked for a synopsis of what we have done.
Synopsis, yeah.
So I
right.
think for that magazine. So Ganesh and myself, we perhaps gave some synopsis
you
of what
put
we had
down
done.
synopsis, yeah. A short write-up, you had done that, yeah.
So,
Right,
because they were said that
Jayanta, what did you do?
So there was some.
No, I'm asking Jayanta, what did you do? মানে মাথায় করে নেচেছিলে যে এই মানে যেটা normally কলকাতায় হয়ে থাকে।
Nothing. You must remember one thing. There's a context to what I'm going to say, which is that the canteen was managed by these what used to be called South India Express. All right. So we were introduced some of the worst, sambar and rasam, etc., that you could ever imagine. And that canteen, the canteen guys, they're all students, right?
All students manage the
The canteen committee, were all
Right.
students.
Yeah.
Their idea of good North Indian food was rajma. So much so that even today I can't stomach rajma. So okay, there Pandayan's back, all right. So what do we got for breakfast? Same old sambar, forget it. That kind of thing. But frankly, to be honest with you, I was not really that. Didn't really make a mark on me at that point in time. I think historically my connections with Bangladesh were in a way tenuous, because although both my father and my mother were from that part of the world, but for them that had already become a part of memory. My father would have left Bangladesh when he was maybe 3 or 4 years old. That was he was from Dhaka Manikganj, and my grandfather had moved to had taken a job in the railways and moved to Asansol, which is what really the home was. And my mother's family were originally from Borishal, but they had moved to, she was born in Dinajpur, Thakurgaon. So when she came to Kolkata, she was 16, and then the partition happened and all that. So at that time, all the connections, etc., had become really, really tenuous. So for me, Bangladesh, part of somewhere in the parental history, but beyond that, it didn't mean a great deal to me until much later when it happened a few years later when I encountered Jasimuddin's poetry and Abbasuddin's songs. When I said it took on a entirely different kind of thing. Right. But at the same time,
one question we have here. Yeah, we have a question here. Just if I can just, question is that Jagannath Hall. This is to Pandayan and Shyamal. Did you all visit Jagannath Hall? Because Jagannath Hall during 71, the March 1971, had become a very major thing because of the professors who were called out and killed, if you remember, in Dhaka University. You all remember a visit to Jagannath Hall?
I specifically remember going to Jagannath Hall. We were also, in a way, governed by the plan the Indian Army soldiers had. So we went to those places with them. We were literally traveling with them right through. And they had a fairly tight schedule.
We spent some time in the university campus. We did spend a lot of time in the university campus. We went around the university campus.
Right. Okay, now tell us about that last episode. So far, you all went through the adventure and whatever happened. Then you all cross and come over to India. at Gede, right? At the Gede border, you all are there.
We
And
must
that is where
briefly
probably you all
mention
have the...
on the return journey from Dhaka. I hope we have time. On the return journey, we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
see two major things. One I will talk about immediately. On the first place we stopped, we were waiting. We were transiting by bus, and we got on, and we were waiting for the next bus to take us to the riverside. And when we are waiting there, we saw a pond, and some people are in the pond digging out things. There were heaps of white stuff. So we went near the pond, and we saw there were bones, human bones. And then we were still trying to figure out what it was, not making sense to us immediately. And then we were asking them what it was, and they told us the soldiers, Pakistani soldiers, had come and massacred people. They just dumped the bodies in the pond. I mean, not a very small pond, large enough. So, they dumped lots of bodies there. And they were, the villagers are not allowed to do any last rites and things like that for the people who were killed. And now, second or third day after liberation, they were actually, taking the bones out, and they were just heaping them up, and said, we're going to do a collective, some kind of rites for all the people who passed away in that mayhem that happened there in that village. And that was a very, very powerful thing for us. We had, till then, we had just been hearing people telling us their experiences of atrocities, and this is some a direct eyesight experience. We saw that the result of what happened. This is one that happened on our return journey. And we also, another place we stopped for the night, and people are very friendly at every place that we crossed, because of partly the Muktibani reference also helped. Every place we were told, you will go to this place, you go there and ask for this particular person who's a Muktibani member. Though we didn't meet the same person who were referred to, but they said, oh, you've been referred by these people from Dhaka, welcome, we'll take care of you. They were given place to sleep and food and things like that. There were community kitchens and things like that were in place already, because people are trying to recover. It's 2 days, 3 days after the liberation. Actually, fourth day when we were there in the other place. And one night we were sleeping with somebody else who was also in that room where we were sleeping, and he told us another very very, very painful kind of a story to hear. How the Pakistani soldiers went into a village where they took away all the men, and they told the village people that if they don't collaborate with them, collaboration in the sense women were made to do all kinds of things for them, and the men were taken out in a boat. They were told they will come back, you take care of us. And the men went away in the boat, and the village discovered later that they actually had massacred the entire boatload of men they were taken away. And this was actually told to us by a person who said, look, I was there, this is what happened to us. So then we went on to another place. This was one time where we actually were at the end of on the we were threatened. Actually, we in the night after meeting people, we were resting, and we heard some firing in the air. Some guns were being fired. So Shyamal and I, we came out saying, let's maybe we'll collect some shells as mementos for our trip. And it was dark, and we were looking around, and we're trying to figure out where the sound was coming. And suddenly something was poking at my back, and I was still trying to figure out. And Shyamal was saying, look, there are people behind us holding bayonets. And they were telling us to go somewhere. They were talking in Bengali, obviously. They were. I didn't follow what was going on, so we were taken to a hut where there were soldiers, with in uniform. They were not actually soldiers. There was some kind of locals who have just taken over the uniforms, and they just actually collected some of the arms that were left behind by the Pakistani army, maybe. And they were quite hostile to us for a while. And Shyamal trying to explain to them that we are from India, we are come in, with peaceful intentions and things like that. And interestingly, what helped us was we were carrying the institute identity card, and we pulled it out and said, "This is our identity." And we don't know what impact made on those guys. They said, "Oh, you're coming from India." Suddenly, that ID card seemed to have made a difference, and they sort of mellowed down. They said, "Okay, go back, take a message back to your Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. We are very thankful to her for liberating the country," and things like that. It was about Shyamal, maybe about half an hour, 45 minutes. We were in terror.
Almost. Yeah. It's quite a tense period.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very tense.
Such an exciting, an event. My last question to y'all, and this I will get all of y'all to tell me.
Okay.
And Shyamal, I'll start with you. What took you all 50 years to write this book? And that's between the original 4 and the collaborators and everybody and IIM. What took you all 50 years?
I think it happened is thanks to the WhatsApp group that we had formed.
Yes.
So, and it happens that 50 years of also IIM Calcutta. So we were discussing about the 50 years reunion of IIM Calcutta. So that's how it all started. And where I think one thing led to another, and somebody said, this is also 50 years, so why don't you write, people? And people came forward to say that we will support you, help you, you please do that. So we were in the beginning with the bigger group, we were discussing among ourselves. Then we felt that it will take us nowhere. With so many cooks will spoil the food. So what we did was we formed a smaller group called Bangladesh, and where Jayanta, Devu, and TRS, they took the lead. And therefore, we formed a smaller group. With this smaller group, then it was, and Jayanta became the taskmaster. He was holding the hunter. So that's how it happened. So thanks to Jayanta.
Right.
He had already written a book, so he knew what to do. What all it means.
Right.
He was aware of the process.
The process.
You are well aware.
In fact, TRS, you were saying something.
Yeah.
In fact, the 4 of them, when they returned to Calcutta, they did not realize that they have undertaken a very, journey of a lot of significance, because they have been able to observe and also experience, a variety of things. And even as you are mentioning, even after 50 years have passed, it never really occurred to them that that should be penned down. And thanks to our IIM Calcutta batchmates, and they told us, this is the right time to write about whatever has happened. Then only, they realized that they don't have any record, no photographs, nothing. So we had to rekindle our memories. As I think it was mentioned in the book, what Jayanta said, that all you village elders sit down and then will record the speech, and then after that, from that speech, which you converted into a transcript, and then you start writing. That's how the story went on.
Right, Devashish, what was your reaction when you were brought in to write the book?
Yeah, you see, I was brought in to write the book because, I had a small experience myself. Earlier in the year, somewhere around October 71, I had gone down to the Bongaon refugee camp, which was on behalf of Oxfam.
Right.
There's an IIM C professor who had taken a group of us IIM C students down to conduct a survey to find out what the refugees were really looking for. Because Oxfam per se was sending, thick woolen clothing and everything, sweaters and whatnot. And it wasn't of much relevance or use for the refugees out here in the month of October, with the rain pelting down and the heat and everything. So we went across to all these refugees and, took a survey and assessed what they wanted and gave a report back. So that experience was also part of the entire experience on the periphery. So we thought that, it should form part of the book. So did TRS. TRS had also gone down to a refugee camp after the war was over.
February. Yeah.
So, but all these events really fitted in very well into the entire scheme of things.
Absolutely.
And that's how the whole book came out.
And in fact,
And Joynto, before I come to you,
Debu
Yeah,
had
Joynto, before I
the
come to
trip that he
you,
had made was under the aegis of Gorango. You were talking about Gorango the
yes,
other day.
Professor Gorango Chattopadhyay. I was just going to mention that. Joynto, before I come to you, here is a hilarious comment that has come. You all were talking about the canteen being run by what is called the South Indian Express. And then Shyamal talked about the fact that there were too many cooks. So she says that if there were too many cooks, would have created another South Indian Express, and that would have ended up probably in. And there is another query that has come, which I think you all will have to answer this, and that says that Ramaya says that, do you think you'd have gone on to be very different people if you had not lived through this experience and seen the things that you saw at that age? I think it's a very loaded question.
Yes, it is. And we have
Yeah,
thought
definitely.
about this. I have thought about this. And I think we all agreed in our conversation that it made a life impact on us. It very clearly, it has made a difference in our thinking, our way we looked at things. One of the things, I couldn't watch a war movie for more than 10 years after the experience. Maybe 15 years. I would just
Very
skip all the war movies.
Absolutely. So, and in my case, since I didn't see any of it live, but the reading about the atrocities of the Second War, the Nazis and all of that, I still have a problem watching action movies. Dijum stuff pisses me off no end. So that's part of the impact anyway.
Okay, Joynto, now one last thing to you, and since you're my fellow elder brother in the advertising fraternity, what about the marketing of this book? I mean, Notion published it. It's what kind of a response are you all getting? How is it moving?
Okay, the moving part of it I'll leave to Pandayan because he's the contact between the publisher and us. What I think surprised me a bit was that I don't think any of the bigger publishers really wanted it, because it had been offered to a bigger Rupa, who had published my other books in the past. It was offered to one other, Manohar and a couple of one other guys, but they never really looked. I don't think they took it seriously enough. Part of the reason, I guess, is none of us are famous authors, so how are they going to sell copies is something which must have bothered them a bit. And we were pretty keen to actually hit the December 2021 deadline, because you stay with a large publisher, it takes them a year and a half. So, but we said December 2021 is where we want to get it. And Notion Press said, okay. So that's why we went. I think from their perspective, they've done whatever they can. I guess their capability is also fairly limited. And we are doing the best we can. So far, the comments on the book have been, pretty spectacularly positive. I'm not sure we're going to be ready to buy a super yachts yet in terms of the royalties that we're going to make, but at least in terms of, the number of copies.
I'll just interrupt over here.
Sure.
We had a big write-up from Telegraph. Telegraph interviewed us, and there was a very positive big write-up in the newspaper, which has come out. And copies of the book have been read by people like the director of IIM C. And he was so thrilled at having read the whole thing that he's insisting that, we make a big event out of this, and that all alumni of IIM C should get to read the book and, get an exposure to this wonderful experience which we had.
Excellent. I think we will end with that. But before that, I must tell you that whenever you all have such an event, I'm sure you all will include a bonfire. You all will include the other elements that you all talked about which you all were clueless as to what was happening to your fellow batchmates that gone over to across the border. And on such an event of the bonfire, I do hope you all will let me know so that I make it a point to be there in Kolkata when that bonfire to celebrate 50 years and the book is happening. And I think this has been a very live adda that we have had, and we were very fortunate to get Hoksha coming in from Dhaka and
We
telling
enjoyed
us.
it
And I
too.
think all of us should
Thank
come
you very much.
again. No, this has been a great experience for us. And on behalf of all of us at Kahani Kancheti, I want to thank all of you individually, taken a lot of trouble. And for those who have not read the book, you can read a book on our website, kahanikancheti.in. And there's telegraph that he is talking about. But you all must get a copy of the book, particularly those who are 65 plus age. It is going to make you feel, how come I missed out? How come I did not do something like this? And that, I think, is the best part of this whole excitement. So once again, a big thank you to everybody. And I hope that we will soon meet up and catch up and continue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Bye. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super. Catch you all soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Catch you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, Kahani Kancheti has just had a very exciting session on this book, Birth of Bangladesh, on the occasion of the Bhasha Dibosh. Next Saturday, we'll have another author's chat, this time with Professor Nandini Sen, and on her new book, The Second Wife and Other Stories. So please keep in touch and do visit our social media page, our Facebook page, and our website. And this event will be uploaded on our website in another day or two. So those of you all who may have come in late or may have missed out part because of internet problem, will be able to see it again. So thank you very much for being with us today. And we hope to look forward to seeing you soon in our next online event. Thank you.